Hey everyone, Paul ISM. Welcome to part 2 of our Revell 125th 69 Camaro video build. Yes, so part 2, we are here. Like I said in part 1, it's a bit of a different process this time because we're going to 2K in this video. We normally do that in part 1, but I'm working through the process of the build rather than concentrate on the videos, because I normally get to the body, video build, edit, upload, then work on the engine, video build, and the running gear, upload, then the interior, final assembly. This is different. This is all filmed and edited in the order it was done. Literally my build process. So let me know your thoughts on this as you're watching the video. Do you prefer it this way? Does it seem more natural? Do you prefer it the old way where it was more structured? For me, this is the better way to work because it's quicker for me. I'm editing no video in between really. I just have to have a break, which I did with part 1. And I've just edited the last 2 videos together. And for me, it's a quicker process. But let me know what your thought is. Are the videos still okay? Are they rubbish? Are they still rubbish? Have they always been rubbish? Let me know. But anyway, let's jump into part 2. We've got lots to do today. Going to get the engine, running gear assembled, the interior, and then finally get the 2K down on this fabulous colour. Okay, so we're straight back in the thick of the action with some wash. So we've got our Tamiya black enamel panel line wash. This has been thinned a touch with some Sansador. And with the wheels, I did think of maybe matte coating these or giving them a semi-gloss finish, but the chrome is really good on them. So I think both myself and Joe both opted just to put a wash in there. I thought we'll accentuate the detail that's already there. So we're going to chuck in the Tamiya enamel wash, let that dry, wipe out the excess, and there we go. Beautiful wheels. The chrome's really good. Why waste it? With the rest of the body now, we know the paint's cured, the decals are well and truly dried. The exact same wash we can apply to the panel line. So it's pre-thinned, so the capillary flow is very, very good. Just load your brush up, touch it to a panel line, it'll magically flow across and through all the panel lines and gaps. And it's a case of going around the outside of the model, do all the door shuts, the bonnet, the boot, etc. And these intakes by the windscreen wipers as well. So I basically fully infill these, paint them, let them dry, wipe out the excess, and it does a perfect job. There's 3 little vents in front of the rear wheel arches as well, so they've all had some wash in them as well. Like I say, we leave it about half an hour, let it fully dry, and then we can come back in with either some tissue or a cloth with a little bit of Winsor Newton Sansador on, and just gently wipe over the model until all the excess wash is gone. So my tip here would be, when you think you've got rid of all of it, go back and have another look, because you'll almost always find somewhere you've missed. Like at the bottom there, so you need a little bit of a cotton bud in there to get rid of it. But I almost guarantee you'll spot it just as you start to clear coat, and then it's too late. So the grille as well. I didn't know what to do with the grille. Now the kit calls out to paint the grille black. The outer part of the grille is body colour with chrome inserts for lights, I think they are. What I've done in the past is just infilled the chrome with panel line wash, wiped off the excess, and you're left with a good looking grille. I always like to add a different touch to my cars. I always like to stray away from the instructions a little bit from the norm. And this is my thing on this car. So I think Joe's done similar, but Joe's painted the outside of his chrome in the body colour. For me, I'm going to leave it in chrome. It'll do the job for me. Now, because it's such a large area, it did take several applications of the wash to get it to fill properly. But we'll let that dry, get a cotton bud on it, and it'll wipe off all the excess wash and leave a nice finish on the grille. The parts we gloss blacked last time, we're going to paint up. These are the chrome trim. Now, Joe recommended using Stobby Super Dura Aluminium. So I thought, let's give it a go. We used it on the windows. It worked really well. I thought we'll do it matching on the chrome work. So we've done the front rear bumpers, the cylinder head cam covers, rocker covers, whatever you want to call them, number plate surrounds, the carbs, etc. A few other parts are going to get done in these colours. The air cleaner, obviously. And yeah, great colour. Looks really good. Nice, vibrant, well-defined, well-pigmented metallic. And I think it'll do the job just fine. So we've gone round, picked out some metallic parts and painted them up. I'm using my HPC Plus here. at the minute because, like I say, my Apex is out of action. I need to get some spare parts for it. The exhausts, we went with stainless steel from AK and not AK, from Mr. Hobby, the super metallic range. So on the rear section and the front headers, we've done exactly the same. On the engine, we've got our mix of red and orange that we used on the Chevy Revell. It's just mixed by me by eye. With several coats of this, we get a nice deep orange colour on the engine. So in the UK, it's very hard. Well, you can't really get any match colours for these. So I just do it by eye. As long as it's got a ready orange colour, I'm happy. It'll do the job just fine for me. So a couple of coats of that all over. Probably got 4 light coats. We can do that. And then with some LP5 semi-gloss black from Tamiya, we can paint up all our interior. So where I'm not painting, it's basically the rear partial shelf and all the front section is going to be flocked. We're going to put some embossing powder in those. But the rear seats and all the rest of the trim, we're going to do an LP5 semi-gloss black. And as my sign says on the bench, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. So a couple of eye coats of this all over. We'll get us a nice semi-gloss finish. Like I say, we are going with a little bit of a, not boring, but typical black on black interior. It'll look period for the kit itself. With all that painted up and drying, we can remove all the excess wash from the wheels. We don't need any Santador on this because it's on a high gloss finish. It'll just wipe off really easy. I did find rubbing a bit too hard, rubbed a bit too much of the wash off where we wanted it. So I did have to reapply a little bit later on. But for the most part, really happy how these look. I've semi-matte coated before and matte coated the chrome before, and it's always looked quite good. On this, the chrome was really good, and I kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to leave it this time. Tyres need removing from their sprue, I say in the loosest sense of the word. So using some scissors on those, and then a RC seam remover, tyre seam remover. I believe you can use a cuticle remover, the same job. We get rid of the seam gently from around each tyre. Be careful you don't stab yourself or lose a bit of finger or what have you. And just take your time working your way around the tyres until you've got them all done. Pretty easy to do. Just give them a clean up, make them look as good as you possibly can. And then with the wheels, being very careful with your knife. A bit dodgy what I'm doing there, so be very careful. Removing any sprue connection points. Popping it through one side, just as a test fit. Very nice, they look absolutely superb. And then the back piece, they almost clip together, these things. They really do. Right up to add a bit of CA glue in the centre. So a bit of a test fit, pop it apart, and pop some CA glue inside. And glue them together. Now the wheels look great. The wash really accentuates all the detail. And because it's such high quality chrome, it reflects all around the wheel. So they do look really, really good. There'll be some people out there that say, oh no, it doesn't look quite right, etc., etc. For me, it looks absolutely spot on. I'm very happy with how it looks. And yeah, I think that's good. So repeat that for all 4 wheels, like so. We'll let those all dry. A little bit of excess wash that I noticed there. And just give it a wipe over. There we go, job done. And then onto the engine again. So the transmission, we left, we didn't actually paint it fully orange. We missed it as we were painting. No, it was going to be painted silver. Now, I used enamel on the last car I did. And I had a few issues. I think it was the LFA. Because the paint is enamel and the wash is enamel. So I've gone back to the old favourite of Vallejo Model Air Silver. So it's a water-based paint acrylic. And yeah, it works great. And obviously, if you get any excess paint, cotton bud, you're on lacquer paint, it wipes off really easy. Dries to a nice finish. They are very nice colours. And we can start assembling the engine. So the cam covers go on, the rocker covers, the inlet manifold on top as well. We're just following the instructions. We're going to get this all assembled today, and we'll put some wash on it in part 3, just to give it a little bit of depth and a bit of tonal variation. Starter motor in place as well. And then we need to drill out for our leads. So I've already had the manifolds on and looked where I need to drill. I've got my little Herzo battery powered drill. And we just line it up and drill the holes where needed with a 0.5mm bit in this. We've got our wire and our nice little sewing machine bobbin storage unit where we've been keeping it lately. So choice of colours, what should we do? We're going to go with blue on this one. So we're going to get some blue wire. This is 0.45mm wire. I'm just going to strip the end, snip it long enough so we have enough to go into the hole we drilled. Dip it in a bit of CA glue. As you can see, I've got my visor on so I can see well. And we're going to pop it into our distributor, which we drilled in part 1. And I'm going to repeat that for all 9 leads. I've got a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. So we're just stripping the end, trimming it to an appropriate length, straighten it up, a yabba dabba do, a little dab of glue, into there, into the hole, push it fully home, and there we go. Repeat that for all 9 of the leads. And there we go. There's our distributor done. Just separating them apart a little bit to get some spacing on them, and then we popped the distributor in the hole, literally just glued it to the hole. We've got the header, just checking fitment, a little bit of glue on there. Does need a bit of clamping. This is one of the parts where it's started to fall apart, the kit. The headers, the exhaust manifolds are very tricky to hold in place, so I found CA glue them, keep hold of them for a minute or two, get a bit of kicker in there if you can with a micro brush, and just take your time and glue them in place. And then we're going to go around and pop all our leads. We're going to cut them to the right length, pop them in the hole. No, I've not done the firing order. I'm not going to muck around doing that on the model car. This ain't going to turn over, so it don't matter, and it certainly ain't going to start. So it's a case of cut the lead to the right length, put a little dab of glue on it, grab your tweezers, pop it in the hole, and try and keep them all laid nice and neat. So keep the length appropriate, make sure you double check each time. And there we go, there's the engine all wired up. I'm having a celebratory drink of tea. There we go, how refreshing. There we go, the carbs in place. We've got those glued in. Like I say, we'll pop a wash on this later on. And then our air cleaner goes on top. Tricky part, this one. I found it did not like to fit properly at all. Trying to figure out which way it goes, looking at instructions and figuring things out. It rests on one carb, and to be honest, it really is a poor fit. But we persevered, got it in place. It then fell off. So we're getting the engine in place here, using the instructions. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm a bit confused by the exhaust, thinking, what goes on here? Let's have a look at the instructions. And I'm like, oh, I've got to slot them underneath. And then I realised what was going on. There we go. So we're going to slot the exhaust underneath, but keep the transmission on top. Like so. There we are. So glue at the back there, just under the transmission, and a couple of dabs of glue needed just at the front on the engine mounts. So we grab our trusty CA glue, and just put a little dab of our precision tip right where we need it, and that's then glued in place. We then got our exhausts in place as well, which just fitted straight on, no problem at all. Lined up perfectly with the headers, couple of dabs of CA glue, job done. We've got the prop shaft or drive shaft, depending on where you are in the world, that just slots in from the back. Get it the right way around. Again, a little dab of CA glue. You don't need a lot of CA glue when you're doing this, you only need a little bit. These aren't moving parts, it isn't structural, so don't go mad with the CA glue. You don't need a lot at all, you just need enough that it gets purchased on where you're gluing it. After that, you're fine, no bother at all. So just a little dab of glue, slide it back in, push it forward, and then from underneath we can work with it there. I've got the rear suspension housing with the differential, so the leaf sprung suspension is there. We're getting it orientated the correct way, and then we can pop that into the drive shaft as well, and pop it into its locating point on the chassis. Again, a little tricky part to put in. If you notice as well, I also drilled out the ends of the exhausts. We did that in part 1. I don't think I showed it though. And then I'm just lining up the suspension, getting it all lined up properly, getting the shocks on as well and in place. And any glue, we're just applying it where needed. Wheels in place next. So the front one's clicked on, no problem at all. Straight on. There we go. The rear ones, not so much. I had to put a little bit of WCA glue on to hold these, and then sit and hold and line them. Other than that, that's that done. Not too bad at all, really. And the interior. So the interior has been embossed on the carpet. Hannah did that for me. I was about to 2K this day. I didn't want anything in the room, so Hannah did it. But it's exactly the same way I did the embossing on the last car. What was the last car I did? I forget now. I forget what it was. The last car we did recently. We did embossing powder in it, didn't we? What was it? I forget. Completely forget. Let me turn around and have a look in the display case. Not very professional, I know. It would have been the Honda, the patron exclusive Honda was the other one we did. So yes, if you're a patron, you've seen me do it. If you're not, you haven't. So apologies for that. Exactly the same process as flocking, but we're using embossing powder instead. And yeah, it works really well. It's a lot more neat and a lot less airborne particles because it's not as small as flock. So we're on to the interior, like I say, we've flocked the floor with embossing powder. The seats are glued in place. We're adding a bit of detail to the door cards. I'm using my Edding Silver marker pen. These are actually paint pens, paint markers to paint on the door handles. They're really, really good, these. Really, really nice quality. And the pen is ideal for stuff like this. It looks like a kind of a cut corner, but it's neater than using a brush, and I think it gives a much better finish. The door cards literally slot in. They needed no glue at all. Pardon me. So we did that to both of them. Steering wheel, I've hand painted in Vallejo model colour black. I wanted a bit more of a rougher texture on the steering wheel without going too mad. So I opted to brush paint it. So the model colour black is thinned with a drop of water. We've got a nice Tamiya flat brush to brush it all on carefully. So with brush painting any acrylics, you want to get it on as quick as possible to a degree without going over it too much, because the more you go over it as it's drying, the rougher the finish is going to look. So just go around, make sure the whole thing's painted, and then leave that to one side to dry. And then we're going to brush paint the centre in silver later on. There we go. Big fan of the model colour paints. They are very, very nice paints. And then we're going to pop it on to the steering rack. So there's a little dab of Sega on the rack. We haven't painted the centre yet because I knew how to hold it somewhere. So we can pop it in place and paint it later on. It's not a problem. Not the best interior on this. It's a little bit basic. So just do as good a job as you can. It's black on black, so it's not the most interesting. You could dry brush it if you wanted. There's a lot of things you could do, but I just opted to leave it as is. Tamiya enamel silver now for the centre of the steering wheel. Same brush as before, and just carefully brush the centre spokes of the 3-spoke wheel. Big fan of these enamels. They are very, very nice to brush paint with. So highly pigmented, absolutely beautiful to paint with. Yep, they leave a fantastic finish. Now, 2K. You've seen me do this before, and this is the same way as usual. We've got 3 millilitres of Gravity Spain Clear. Then it's 1 ml of activator and 1 ml of thinner. So I'll run you through the process. I do it every time just to clarify and make sure. So 3 ml of clear has gone into the pot. We've then added the 1 ml of activator. We give it a good stir up to get that chemical reaction underway. Empty the pipette, and then we grab a ml of thinner with a fresh pipette. Don't contaminate that thinner bottle. Always use fresh pipettes between each one. And then give that a really good mix up. It will go cloudy for a second, and then it will clear up, and that's it. You're mixed and ready to go. And then we're going to strain it through a 190 paint strainer. I do this with all my clears. Just out of interest, I'm assured that they are done by Gravity themselves, but you never know what kind of nasties you might pull off your bottle rim. Got the Tamiya anti-static brush to give the body one last dust over. And then we're going to 2K it. So we're going to start with our tack coat. So this is a nice finish. We're still getting a clear coat down, but we're not trying to get it wet at all. The idea of this is it will make it safe for the decals. It's not going to eat the decals alive. And after 10 minutes of drying, this will go super tacky. and I mean ultra sticky. And that way you can put down your second wet coat without fear of runs. So it's simple, really. That's the way to do it. Tack coat, a semi-wet coat, and then a third semi-wet coat. Let it settle, and then we can come back in with our final check and see where it needs any more. That's my current process. If it doesn't make any sense, I'll explain it again in a minute. But like I say, this first coat is important to protect the decals. It's the best way of doing it. So we're putting plenty of clear down without going mad. We're not trying to get a wet coat. We're just getting down a nice equal layer of clear. And that gives us our basis for our subsequent coats. So we'll get all this done, and then we'll put it away for 10 minutes in our clear box, so it's safe from dust and debris and all of the nasties we don't want to deal with. You can see that colour's really darkening up already just off this tack coat. It's looking beautiful. And then just go around, just look, confirm everything is the same. You want a nice equal coat all over. And same with the bonnet, just a nice tack coat. Like I say, the decals are probably the most important things to protect it. This 2K is very safe for decals. There is minimal thinner in there, very minimal thinner. But go with the tack coat because this is what gives us our second coat safety. So this has been in the box for 10 minutes. It's tacked up really nice. We can come in now with the same 2K mix. We leave it in the airbrush. We're going to put down a slower, thicker coat this time. And we're going to try and get a good semi-gloss clear coat on this. We're not going for the full gloss just yet. We're just trying to get down a nice, even level of gloss. So we're going much heavier than before. And we're paying attention to the bottom of sills, the wheel arches, and just making sure it's even all over. That's the best thing we can do. Just take your time, work your way around like you did in the first coat, and then we can move on to our third coat. Right, on to our third coat. Another 10 minutes has elapsed, and we've got a pretty decent clear coat here already. So we don't need to go too mad with the coat, so we put a little bit thinner on the second one. And as before, we're just going to work our way around and try and eliminate as much orange peel as we can with this coat. Now, I'm not too bothered about doing it all with this final third coat, because how I've been doing things lately is putting a slightly less wet coat on, putting it back in the box for a couple of minutes to let its self-leveling capabilities take part, or take a hold rather, and then get it back out, have a look. If we see anything we've missed, we can give it a light go over again. That's been working out really well lately. I've been getting thinner clear coats, better finish, less orange peel, and certainly reducing the risk of runs in the clear coat too. Right then, we put it back in its box for a couple of minutes just to let the self-leveling take hold, and it's looking really good. If you see anywhere that's not perfectly level, just give it a light spray. As you can see, I'm spraying much thinner coat this time. We're not going as heavy. For the most part, a lot of it is pretty much done, and I just find just putting this light little coat over at the end just saves that real horrible thickness of the 2K, and I've just been getting so much better finishes lately. I know a few of you guys out there have been following it as well and giving it a whirl. It does seem to be working for you as well. So if it works, doesn't it? So all I'm doing is using my light, angling the body, and I'm looking for any orange peel or any slightly less than perfect part. So just on that back end, just a little bit of a spray. Checking underneath all the sills, under that valance at the back. Checking the sides, checking the front as well. We've got a little bit of dust in it, but that's inevitable. You're always going to get that. But look how beautiful that red's gone. Absolutely gorgeous red, and the 2K is looking really good all over. There's no imperfections, there's no runs. We've got a nice glass finish. Once we let this cure and then flat it back and polish it up, it's going to look absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that's it. Just pop it back in the box, leave it 5 minutes, get out and have a look, and you can do it again. Pop it back in the box while you spray the bonnet, bring it back out at the end and have a look, and if you see anything else, just give it a little go over. Another note as well, for this third and last coat, we are mixing a new mix of clear coat. Exactly the same as we did before. I am literally mixing it again. So we've got a fresh clear coat for the end, and that is giving a better finish as well. So as you said, just put it back in the box for a couple of minutes. I've grabbed it back out again. The 2K will self-level as you leave it alone. It's just the way 2K works. And this is our final inspection before we put it back in the box and we clean the airbrush out. So I'm just having a real good look around. This is still very, very wet. It's literally as it's been sprayed. And like I say, don't be afraid of putting a little bit more down. If it's not quite glass-like, just put a little touch down and it'll self-level itself. And this time here is crucial. This is the time, because as you see it now is how it's going to dry. It's as simple as that. Same with the bonnet as well. Have a quick look at it. If you're happy with it, which I think I pretty much am there, that's looking great. We can have a look, pop it back in, and then one final check on that body. Make sure everything's sitting well. No orange peel whatsoever. No runs at all. Absolutely stunning colour. It really is looking well. And obviously clean the airbrush, put everything away. And here we go. This is a few hours later as it's dried. This is now air dry. And it just looks fabulous. What an excellent colour. Absolutely beautiful. It catches the light beautiful. And to my eye, on the edges and corners where the paint's a little bit thinner, you see the gold hues coming through as well. And it just looks fantastic. Once we let this cure, flat it back and polish it up in part 3, this is going to look absolutely beautiful. Right, there we are. So we finished off our 2K. It's come out really well, really, really well. We've got a bit of muck in it as always, bit of dust, but we'll let that cure for 4 days, 5 days or so. And we'll come back and give it a good flat and polish up, and hopefully get a nice shiny finish off it at the end. But yeah, the kit's going all right. It's got a few problems in places. It's a bit frustrating here and there, but overall, it's not a bad kit. It's going together okay. And it's nice building it with Joe. Like I say, we're working through our problem solving. Have you done this? How did you do it? What are you going to do here? What colour have you done? It's good. It's nice to do. And we've literally stuck with each other building it, mostly on the mornings, on the live shows you've been watching. And we're kind of neck and neck where we've gone. There's been joking about waiting for each other and what have you, and doing bits when one of us wasn't here and things. But on the whole, we've really stood together with the build. It's been a pleasure to build with Joe. It's been good fun. So there's a few of these coming up in the future. I'll talk about them in subsequent videos. And yeah, I'm enjoying this build. It's been good fun. It's nice having to stop and edit video all the time, and it's just nice to get on with the build. And it's definitely a faster way to build for me. But let me know your thoughts on the video as it's going. There we go. As always, you want to support the videos and keep them going, I have a Patreon down below. Become one of my patrons. There's all different tier levels down there. Have a look through. Your support is what keep these videos going. In return, you can get early access on the videos, up to a month now it is. There's exclusive video builds at the Alpha Honda Civic. There's exclusive how-tos. Access to a supporter group, a supporter private chat on Facebook, which is very popular. There's about 55 of us in there now. And obviously keep these going. Without your help and support on Patreon, I couldn't keep doing this. being as prolific as I am with the videos. So thank you all for your support. Like I said, if you thought about it, the link's down below. You can have a look. Also down there's links to everything else. Have a peruse through. There's all the forum, Facebook, UMP Retail, everything to do with the ISM shows, the Off Air Hangouts, my modelling page is down there, my scale mates, and there's even an email to get in touch with me should you want to have a chat with me. And that's it. That's us for today. Make sure you sub to the channel, click the bell notifications to get notified of all the latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment if you want to. I love reading all your comments and your feedback. And enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back very soon for part 3.